All right, I am standing here with Carl of the Kenosha Racine Bee Association, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Carl, let's get into that a little bit. What's going on with the bees? What have you heard? I mean, I know we're having fatality rates are pretty bad. I don't know how this past year has been. Has this past year been any better with the bees?
No, it has been a tough one. You know, I have had 50% loss, so.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the bees are obviously dying off. Some of it could be some weather elements, and, you know, they're trying to link things of maybe pesticides. I'm not sure what all the problem is. When you have a 50% loss, how do you replace these bees?
You have to go out and do some shopping and buy new ones.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
But most of it is not alone that I say the weather they can tolerate. It's when they get the viruses and infections, they cannot handle that.
Right, right.
It's like contagious, you know.
Well, let's update people a little bit. Let's tell them why bees are so important. I mean, they're the main pollinator. I mean, we have a lot of pollinators. Monarchs are pollinators. I think some bats are pollinators. But bees are definitely one of the most important pollinators. Now, there's different species of bees, but honeybees are very, very important in our society because they pollinate a lot of food besides honey, correct?
That's correct. When you talk about species, I think there's over 17,000 different types of bees.
Right, right.
Some from the little sweat bees, they're like an eight of an inch long, you know. In the summer, they land on your arm. You can feel the little sting.
Yeah.
And all of them pollinate. You can see they have little pollen baskets on their legs when they have been in the flowers.
Right. And what people need to understand is they pollinate a lot of the vegetation which goes into feeding beef and everything. I mean, if something happens to bees, our food supply goes way down, and that's going to really create a problem for mankind.
That would be a disaster if that happened, yeah. But something that the homeowner could do, use less spray on his lawn, let the dandelions grow.
Yep.
Like I don't cut my grass before it's around 4 to 6 inches long, and when I cut it, the dandelions are gone by then.
Yeah.
You don't have to spray for them.
No, I agree, and my wife and I are very particular about that. We try to go all natural as possible, and she don't like to use any kind of chemicals on the lawn for a couple of reasons. One, because the breathing of that isn't good, and the other is because it can harm the pets, and it definitely is not good for bees.
No. Like if you take squashes, if you start to powder them, you know, to get rid of the squash beetle, then you kill the pollinator, the bees that come in to pollinate the flowers.
Yeah.
So that's not a good combination.
No, and there is things people can do to bring bees, to help bees. Maybe like they can plant things in their yard. They can maybe even take up bee farming.
They can take up bee farming. They can plant all kinds of flowers. I recommend people buy certain trees like crab apples, apple trees, linden trees, and so on.
Okay.
They bloom. The bees benefit from that.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good thing because I know that there are a lot of plants, and I think people can do some research too online or read up on anywhere and find out what type of native plants they can plant to attract bees.
Mm-hmm. Like in the spring, we get dandelions come in, but most of the honeys in the spring are basically made from trees.
Right.
Maple trees give a lot of honey. Willow trees give. The black locust comes around June 1.
Okay.
So there's a lot of sources. Then later on, they go to the clovers in the lawns and make a lot of honey on that.
That's a great thing, folks. So by planting the plants and getting involved with trying to bring bees back, that's what you're doing. You're helping to keep the population alive, and that's very, very important because we're losing tons of bees, and we can't lose them. If we lose them, we're going to lose us. We got to have bees to survive.
See, like with bees, a diversified diet for a bee is about 15 different colors in pollen, and they don't get it right now.
Right.
Because a lot in the farming practices today, you don't see no weeds grow in a cornfield. In the old days, you saw it.
Right.
And they found a lot in the weeds, you know.
Yeah. Well, bees pollinate from plant to plant from everywhere. So I mean, we got to have them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I see there's some great jars of honey by the local bee farmers. So you know who's going to be picking up another jar of that this year.
Yeah, it's some tasty stuff he has there.
Yeah. Well, we buy every year from the local farmers, and you know, you don't pay that much more, and you get a really good quality product. And it's been I bought 2 of them last year. I got another one hanging on there. So buy from your local bee farmers too. Help support bees.
That would be a good idea. If you drive around in the countryside, you see honey for sale. Take advantage of it. Honey don't have one flavor.
Right.
It's a multitude of flavors.
Right.
So it's kind of challenge yourself. You know, you can run into some really tasty different types of honey there.
And don't worry about old honey, because honey you can keep 3,000 years and it's not going to harm you.
It can, but let us say it has to be harvested when it has the right moisture content.
Right.
Then it can last for a long, long time.
And the folks can, if it gets a little solid and they want to thaw it, they can just like put it in warm water or something in a jar and it'll pour out.
You put it in, like I use a little rack.
Okay.
I put the glass on, and then you bring it up and you kind of check the temperature. Don't go over 120.
Yeah.
Then you dissolve it again.
Yeah. So honey's always good for you. I mean, of course, unless some folks have sugar problems, but it's good for you. It's natural.
Oh, hot milk and honey is good for a sore throat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hot tea, honey.
I use it in my hot tea all the time.
Yeah.
Actually.
I know some, they even use it in coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I can't quite see it, but they do it and they like it.
All right. Well, Carl, really thank you again for the interview and the update on the bees, and we hope we can keep these creatures going because it's very, very important.
Yeah, I sure hope so too. Yeah. I have had them for quite some years, and for me, it's a lot of, you could say, entertainment in retirement.
Yeah. Well, what can folks do to help you guys out for keeping the bees going?
They can join a bee club and maybe start up with having their own bees.
Okay. Do you remember the website address? Oh, it's on here. Okay. All right. This will be at the bottom of the screen. So, all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care of yourself.